Instagram.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice, your radio.
Radio Cayman's Information Hour. If you see news happening, contact our newsroom, 949-7799. Radio Cayman News, the ultimate in news and information.
Radio Cayman, the voice, the heart, the soul of the Cayman Islands. Sports Extra on a Tuesday, keeping you informed.
We have 10 seasons tonight.
Sports Extra Cayman Islands.
A young team full of talent, full of desire to do good things.
We've had some success with the outdoor league being restarted.
All right, good evening and welcome to Radio Cayman Sports Extra. I'm your host, DIONNE Anglin. Tonight, we will welcome Cayman Islands ultra runner and swimmer, Carrie Kanuga, to the studio. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. It's nice of you to be here. Thank you so much. And Carrie recently competed, for those of you who missed the sports news, Carrie recently competed in the Daytona 100, which is a 100-mile road race from Jacksonville, Florida to Daytona. All right, so she's going to share all of that information with us, you know, how she felt during the race, how she felt after, and why she does this. Okay, she's going to share all of that with us. Also, in the second segment, we'll chat with the Cayman National Rugby 15s coach, Ed Goff, along with Cayman Rugby captain, Conal Keane, vice captain, Mike Luxton, and teammate Mikey Wilson. As you've heard or may have witnessed it yourself, they are here to discuss the recent whooping they put down on Mexico on Saturday. All right, so we're so proud of them because Mexico is it's the number one team in the region. So the fact that we defeated them says a lot to what our program, how much our program is developing here in Cayman. So we're looking forward to these two chats here, right here on Sports Extra. Stay tuned.
Find out about all the community happenings from non-profit, community fundraisers, church events, and more with Radio Cayman's Community Bulletin Board 3 times daily. Don't be the one to miss out on the latest information for events taking place every day on all 3 islands. Radio Cayman's Bulletin Board, brought to you by UCCI. Visit www.ucci.edu.ky. Choose your dream and blaze your trail today.
And by GNC, conveniently located in Queens Court, 7 Mile Beach and Country Corner. GNC, more than sports, all fitness, mind and body.
Radio Cayman News.
Action is necessary.
It's almost like a suicide mission every morning.
We have a major problem.
The members on the opposite side of me had 8 years. Traffic didn't just sneak up on us.
This is pure politics. This is an attempt to mislead this house.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Alrighty, welcome back to Radio Cayman Sports Extra. In the studio with us, Cayman Islands ultra swimmer and ultra runner. We have Carrie Kanuga in the house. So part of this year's Carathon, as they call it, event included a Daytona 100, and that's, of course, for those of you who are not aware, it's a 100-mile road race from Jacksonville, Florida to Daytona. Care to share with us how far is 100 miles, and you can use the Cayman Islands as an example for those who are not good with the numbers and the miles like me.
It is. Well, Cayman, if I run from, and I've been able to stretch this out, if I start at Barkers, the furthest tip of Barkers, and I run to Starfish Point, the furthest tip on Starfish Point, that's 53 miles.
Okay.
So the return trip's 106, 107 miles.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Carrie, I've been thinking about this in my mind. I'm like, why do you do this? Like, what? Why do you take up this challenge? It's amazing, actually. It's amazing the accomplishments you have. I've been reading about you for years now.
Bless. Thank you.
It's such a pleasure to have you in the studio. I'm honored.
Well, so am I.
Here. Yeah, thank you very much. And why do you take up these challenges?
Well, I started running, later in life. I was always a swimmer. And I got into running. I lived in Bermuda for a while. I was doing some triathlons there. I never thought in my lifetime I'd do a marathon. And I did the Cayman Islands Marathon, and I had just so much fun. And shocking, I felt good after it. So I started thinking, well, what's next? And then I came across Ken Chris's 50-kilometer off the beaten track race. And had a bunch of fun at that and still felt good. So I started, looking, and I picked up a book, and it's, I think it was Ultraman or something like that. And he ran 100 miles in this book, where he starts talking about running 100 miles.
Okay.
And it just blew my mind. I really didn't think that was possible.
Right.
And he goes on, and he's and actually many of the races that he references in the book that I thought were absolutely incredible. For example, the Badwater race, which is 135 miles across Death Valley over 3 mountain ranges. I've done that race 5 times now.
Right.
And did Cayman proud. I've come in with a top 10 finish every time I've done it. So honestly, the only thing harder than that race is actually getting chosen for it.
Okay.
There are over 2,000 qualified applicants a year, and they only take a field of 100.
And the fact that you've gotten selected 5 times speaks volumes.
Yeah, no, I'm thrilled about that. And of course, any race that involves the mountains is a little bit challenging to train for in Cayman, because there are no, I think it's 60 feet is our highest elevation point. Okay. So some of these races, one I ran in Brazil, had over 60,000 feet of accumulated elevation. Okay. So if you think about that, Everest is only 29,000, or is 29,000 and a bit. So it's like climbing Everest twice in the middle of 160 miles.
Wow.
So yeah. But where there's a will, there's a way.
Of course.
It's amazing what the body will do. Like my body continues to amaze me. Like just this last race, I finished the 100 miles.
It's not just your body either, right? It's your mind.
Oh, there's a lot of mind in there.
Yeah.
And honestly, your mind will make or break the race. Yeah. There's, your mind is what's stopping you. Honestly, this last race, I'd say in the last 8 miles, I was kind of seeing where I was reaching my goal. So I was scaling it back a little bit. I'm like, you don't have to work this hard. And had I not scaled back, I think I would have came in 9th place. Overall. So, I've been beating myself up a little bit about that. But the fact that I came in 2.5 hours faster than my previous 100-mile personal best was the goal.
Of course.
Never in a million years did I think I'd beat or break 20 hours on 100 miles. And, that's to beat 20 miles, under 20 miles, 20 hours for 100 miles is 12-minute miles.
Okay.
So for 100 miles, which is difficult because you've got to stop. You've got to change sometimes. This race, it ended up getting a little bit hot out there, so I had to change clothes and things like that.
And you mentioned off air too that you got lost at some point because you were at the front. You were in the front.
I did. I was the front. There's no place, nobody to follow, and actually there were some tears because the second time I got lost, because you're going from Jacksonville to Daytona, so the ocean's always on the left of you. You're following 1A1 down.
Right.
And there's a little detour through St. Augustine, and when it came out, it kind of made an S, but I wasn't expecting it to do that. So all of a sudden the ocean's on my right-hand side. And I got a little bit scared, so I flagged down the first car, and I asked her, and she said, no, you're going the right way. And I couldn't see where it was circling back for another half mile or so. And then I realized I didn't have my cell phone on me. I didn't have any money on me.
Okay.
And even if I did, I didn't have anybody's phone numbers. So, if I got lost, I was...
So there's no one trailing you when you're doing that?
I did have a crew. Okay. But bless, I brought a friend, and she did an amazing job, Sarah Huff, from Cayman. She traveled with me and worked as hard as I did because, every 3 miles I had to have water. I had to, make sure if I needed something for chafing, if I, there's certain nutrition I need every hour. I've got to eat the whole time I'm there, but there's some things like salt tablets with magnesium so my body doesn't cramp up while I'm out there and things like that. So she has to make sure they're there, make sure she can find me, make sure that, I'm on schedule with these things because I'm pretty oblivious to anything when I'm up there, just right left.
What's the most grueling race you've run? Is it Badwater?
Badwater's a tough race. It really is.
Is there anything bigger than that?
What's that?
Is there anything larger than Badwater?
Well, that's considered the Olympics of ultra running.
Okay.
You know, I could tell you a million stories about Badwater. I don't know how many you would like to hear, but you honestly have to run on the white line on the highway. Your shoes will melt. I usually go through at least 2 pairs of shoes. Last time I did it, I think the hottest wasn't that hot of a year. I think it was 128 this last year.
Wow.
And the other thing that's difficult about Badwater is it's a nighttime start. So you're guaranteed up for 2 nights. So I usually do that race in about 36 and a half hours. So, yeah.
That's incredible, huh? Oh, my goodness.
For me, the toughest race, the most challenging, not that Badwater's any less challenging, but the most, I guess, complicated to train for was the Tahoe 200. So that's around Lake Tahoe, and you're constantly climbing up and down mountains between 6,000 and 10,000 feet.
Right.
So elevation or altitude becomes a factor. And then the other thing is most of it's single track. So there are no trails in Cayman. No. You know, there is no elevation in Cayman. No. So
there's a hill in West Bay.
I've made a lot of trips up and down the tower. So and now I've got a fancy treadmill, so that'll help me. But definitely there's different challenges depending on the race. You know, Daytona's a little bit difficult as well because it is a flat race.
Right.
So it's the same muscles. You know, when I'm running something like Badwater or Tahoe, it's like, oh, good, it's a hill. I can walk up the hill.
Right. Right.
Or use different muscles running down the hill.
Exactly. I'm glad you pointed that out. What do you enjoy most about this? The whole activity behind it. Yeah.
One of the things that I enjoy, I've raised a lot of money for charities.
Yes.
St. Baldrick's is the charity that I raise the most money for. It's for research for childhood cancer.
Yes.
And, you know, I honestly think that any cancer breakthroughs, not only for children, but for anyone. I know we've all lost loved ones and to this horrible disease, and especially to see children go through this. So that's one thing that I find very satisfying about doing these things is often I'll get sponsors who think I'm crazy and maybe and will pitch in, and I'm very happy to raise that money.
Is there any particular reason why this disease means so much to you?
Well, I lost my dad, my uncle, lots of friends. But of course, I came across one day Hannah when they were talking about the shave that they have annually. Yes. And honestly, you know, one of the things that really brought it home is they said that there's really no publicity or awareness around the disease and how little funding it actually gets from the government. So in the U.S. compared to many other of the cancers. So it just really hit home, and I just wanted to raise some awareness and do what I could to help.
And how did you do this time around for the Daytona?
Honestly, I didn't do too much publicity around it. I've raised a lot of money over the years, and it's just kind of tough to keep going back to the same people, but I'm very grateful for any donations. I've got a few other things that I'm doing this year. I'm going to, of course, apply to Badwater again. What I'm really excited about is I've qualified for the Spartathlon in Greece, which is a 250-kilometer race. And so still I have to apply for it and whatnot, but it's again a huge honor. It's one of the biggest bucket list races for ultra runners, and it really attracts an international crowd. So I'll hopefully be able to raise some money for that. I'm headed to the Keys in May, and God willing, Daytona again, and the other race that I'm eyeing up, or actually that I've registered, but it depends on the Spartathlon if I'm in or not, is a 200-mile race, which is the Bigfoot 200, which is another single trail race in the mountains around Mount St. Helens in Washington.
It sounds like you don't have any plans on ever stopping. You're going to compete for the rest of your life. Is maybe retirement in the near future, or have you thought about it, or are you going to just keep going until you don't feel great?
Yeah, I think there'll be a time to stop. But the thing about this sport is it does attract an older crowd because it does take, like you say, some mental fortitude to want to do it and to actually complete it. But what's amazing is I'm faster now than I was 20 years ago.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. My coach always told me there was another gear in me, and I found it.
Yeah. That's that Mamba mentality. I'm not sure if you ever heard of Kobe Bryant.
No.
And his basketball Kobe Bryant. That's that Mamba mentality. Yeah, of course, of course. When did you realize, Carrie, oh my gosh, I'm really good at this and I can excel at this sport?
It was kind of the first race I did.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I placed very well. And it's funny, and I laugh. Even Daytona, there's some footage of the start line, and I'm a whole 5'2", and I like to say 3/4, but people doubt that. But you see all these people running, and the races attract about 70% men. So you see all these big, tall people coming out the start, and then it just kind of dips. You see me, and then it goes back up. So I joke and I wonder, if I was real size and not just bite size, I wonder if I had proper long legs, how I would do.
You never know, I mean, look at Usain Bolt. He's very tall, and no one thought he can, run that fast at that height. But,
Yeah, well, I think those long legs will take you a little bit farther every stride. Who knows? But
are you keen on sharing your age with us? I only ask because you look magnificent. You look
God
great.
Bless. Thank you.
You're very
no,
welcome.
it's been on the front page of the paper, and as soon as you Google me, it comes up.
No,
so, 52.
And you said you're 5'2"?
Yeah, there you go.
5'2" and 52. All right, I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Have you ever considered calculating how many miles you've accumulated over the years?
I don't. A lot of people keep track of that. If it doesn't happen on Strata, it doesn't happen. And I just, honestly, I don't have time. Yeah. I was just counting when I sat down here. I brought my resume for running along because I have to do it every year to apply for some of these races that I do. And it's just counting how many I've done. Yeah. And I've done 18 or more races over 100 miles. 2 of them were just point to point here in Cayman. The first thing that I did with 100 miles is I swam from Starfish Point to Barker's.
Okay.
Got out at Barker's, ran back to Starfish Point, turned around and came back. So I did that for my 45th birthday.
Okay.
And then I had planned on doing it again for my 50th, but the water was a little bit rough, so I couldn't do the swim. So I did the out and back run, which is 106, 107 miles. And I went back a couple of months later and did a double crossing of the Sound, which was interesting. No one had swum the reverse route because it's a little bit easier to swim from Starfish to Barker's because you have a push, you've got the waves, you've got the wind. So I started at Barker's to Starfish, and then I went to Camana Bay and came out there.
Okay, nice.
So, yeah, it was...
very interesting, as you said, as you put it.
I enjoyed it.
How does your body feel? I should ask, after this race, the Daytona 100, how did your body feel after that?
I felt amazing. Like usually, I'll look at stairs after a race like this and just, honestly, I hardly felt like I ran 10 miles. I've been doing a few different things, and I'm sorry, my coaches, my local coaches that help me have unpronounceable names. So Coach V, she's been helping me with some of my leg exercises. So not only have I been running, I've been building up strength in my legs and upper body, but just focusing on a few things. I do have some weaknesses in my legs. And then Claire has been helping me. She is a flexibility, mobility.
I've heard the name Claire.
Yeah, and I'll get you, if anybody's interested, just pop me an email. I'll get you the companies. It's just, she's got a double banger last name from South Africa that I'm not even going to try.
Don't even bother. Do you believe, Carrie, in overtraining?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm on rest now. My coach makes me rest once a day.
Good.
I could easily, get up every morning and
just
go
keep
out.
going.
Yeah. But definitely, and cross training as well. That's what's very special about swimming. I can go for a swim and it's better than any massage I'll ever have, just to loosen things up and get things moving again.
Nice. How do you prevent from getting injured?
Oh, I've been injured. I think that pretty much anything that's injured has been injured, and it's all toughened up right now.
Right.
I talk to a lot of ultra runners who are just starting, and it's always something, and it's like, yeah, I went through that part, and lucky for me now, I'm, the tendons have strengthened and whatnot, and it's always that danger though, like you say, of overuse.
Okay. All right. I know we're speaking of training and the high level that you're at. What is your training regimen like? I mean, do you go to the gym or?
I do. I should go more often, but I go to the gym once a week, and I do flexibility training once a week. I try to swim a couple of times a week, and I probably run 6 times a week. So, an assortment of that, yeah.
Well, so you have a nice rounded schedule. What about the foods that you consume to help you stay in shape and of course, to keep you going?
Yeah, I've tried to clean up my diet recently, and I have, and I've cut some weight, which has, I think, helped as well for my time. You know, I'm not carrying around a sack of potatoes or 2 with me.
Yeah.
So I've tried to clean that up at home, but when I'm out on the course, anything goes. You know, pizza saves lives. I eat a lot of pizza out there. Gels, fruit. I love to eat fruit. Oh man, I just being in Florida and having access to all these fresh berries and things like that out there was fabulous. You know, when you're out in Death Valley, you don't have this luxury, so it was just, it was like my birthday getting these things. One thing that was a little bit strange, I'm sure people will find, I do eat some protein out there, so I was eating some turkey slices, but one of the tricks one of my friends who's also an ultra runner has taught me, because you do need calories and protein, and so these little Hawaiian buns, are you familiar with them? No, you can get them here. They're just little sweet buns.
Okay, yes, I know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm.
Peanut butter.
Yes.
And are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Black olives.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. That's not strange, because there's a class that I work out with. Our trainer talks about black olives a lot.
Okay, with peanut butter,
yeah, with peanut butter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right, I'd never heard of it. And when she told me about it, I wasn't too sure. And we were running a race together, and she gave me one. I'm like, yeah, this is good, because it's salty. You don't really taste the olives with the peanut butter, and the oil helps the bread slide down. So it's a nice, high calorie, easy thing to eat out there. So,
is it difficult for you to stay on your diet? Do you get weak at times and just want to yum it? Well, you said pizza is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
no, out there. Pizza. Yeah. No, I'm not too strict, but I'm just trying. We all try.
She does not look like she's had a pizza ever. She's fit.
Oh.
Full of
muscles.
I love it.
It's
you
different.
Look great.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Blushing. When I swim, it's a different body though, because your body wants to stay warm and it wants to float.
Right.
So.
Okay. So
it changes.
So when do you swim versus when do you run? When do you take part in swimming activities?
I've tried to keep them both up, and honestly, it's hard. Just for time and things like that. Mm-hmm. So when COVID was happening and we really couldn't train for more than 2 hours, that's when I took up swimming and decided to do, I think it ended up being like 20 kilometers total, that double crossing. So I used to have, and there's still a very active swim community here. It's just, I've been doing, I think, very well with running, so I'm just trying to focus on that right now. And I think swimming for me is a sport that'll always be there.
Right.
Whereas running,
is that where you first started?
I did,
okay.
Yeah.
With swimming?
Yeah, yeah. When I was young, for some reason, it was, I learned how to swim in a lake in Alberta in the summers. My mom was always very careful because she didn't swim, so she wanted her kids to swim. So she'd take us for a whole week and put us in swim lessons in the city. But we never had a pool in the town I was at. So when we finally did get one, I never left it.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
What exactly do you think about while you're trotting on these long treks? What's on your mind?
Everything.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. You almost get into a state of flow. They say, and I've done yoga before, and I've been there with yoga, but definitely in running, time, you just lose it. It's just, if you get into your breathing, you get into the repetition, and it just, you think of everything, but kind of nothing, if that makes sense. You solve the world's problems.
No, I totally get you. It's like me when I'm doing the dishes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
everything comes to my mind. When I'm driving, everything comes to my mind. I'm solving the world's problems. I'm talking to God. I have my biggest conversations with myself while I'm doing those things. I play sports as well, but when I'm playing basketball, I don't have time for all of that.
No.
Your mind is just going.
Well, yeah, this is,
Pass the ball. Shoot it.
Exactly.
So it's completely different,
well,
right?
that start-stop, those sports are so hard.
Yeah.
They really are.
Well, if you weren't a runner, what other sport would you be playing and be good at, you think?
When I was...
And swimmer.
Yeah, when I was in school, I used to like baseball.
Okay, nice.
But it's kind of funny watching me throw something now. I used to play center field and third, and I picked something up to throw to my dogs the other day. I'm like, me. I say I throw like a girl. But, I know a lot of girls who can throw very well. And the interesting thing about these races is it's a very even playing field.
Yes.
If somebody tells you in a race like this that you run like a girl, it's a compliment.
Yeah. Carrie, how have you seen yourself as an athlete evolve over the years?
Well, I'm not so sure I'm an athlete. I just, like to do
you
this
are
stuff.
An athlete.
And
you're a runner, I guess. So.
Well, you kind of find, I was lucky to find this,
Yes.
and it's, people tell me, I don't like running, and I just say, you don't run far enough. But I think there's a sport for everyone.
Right.
And, I didn't find this till very late in life, and I absolutely love it. And it's really nice. There's a great community around it. I've made some lifelong friends at races, and, you're out there running, sometimes 10 miles, sometimes 20 miles, sometimes 5 miles with someone, and you really get to know them.
Yes, most definitely. So, you made a lot of friends over the years, I'm sure, doing these.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are any of them not ready to retire like yourself?
Yeah. I've got friends doing really cool things. My friend David just ran across America. I think it was last year, and
Just ran across where?
The USA.
Wow.
From California to, I guess it's New York where they stop.
Wow. Well, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's good to know I'm not the only one out there.
Right. No, of course. No. No, you're not the only crazy one. No, not at all. Yeah. So I wish I had your mind power.
Oh,
I think it's amazing mind power.
You just need the time, and a lot of people don't necessarily have that. And again, I think that's why it comes later in life when the kids are out away and you're.
Do you have kids?
I don't, unfortunately, but I do have dogs, and it's just too hot out there for them to run with me. Right. They don't run as far, so.
Right, got you. Right.
So everybody asks.
Okay, no problem. Well, we're almost done here, but I would love for you to share with us. I think you shared with us earlier, but what's next for you?
Okay. So absolutely next is the Keys 100.
Okay.
I'm laser focused on that race. It's very similar conditions to Cayman, which I should excel in. I've had a fourth place female finish in there. I usually place very well overall, but I'd sure like to get on that podium. But some of these people, they're different species, they're coming in 2 hours before me. Right. So we'll give it a go, see what I can do. Like I said, these last 8 miles in this last race, I think I could have probably cut my time in half on those. So just really going to focus on that. Once that's completed, the next race that I'm applying for is Badwater 135 in July, which is the one in Death Valley, which is the Ultra Olympics. I'm also going to apply for the Spartathlon, which is September, and that's in Greece. That's the 250-kilometer race. And then finally, for the year, to round it up, depending on what happens with those two races, I'm registered for the Bigfoot 200, which is the 209-mile mountain race in Washington State.
That's going to be huge. That's going to be huge. Tell me, I didn't ask you, when you said earlier that you were out front and you got lost.
Yes.
That means you were in first place at the time.
Oh, no. Well,
no?
Out front. Because over 100 miles, it spreads out pretty fast. No,
all right. So you weren't necessarily in first place, but you were...
Yeah, out front of most of the pack.
Okay.
Yeah.
All righty. Yeah. Okay. So what part of that race did you feel yourself like slowing down or getting tired?
At about mile 80, I started running with this. It was his first ultra, and talking to him, and a really nice guy, kind of half my age, keeping up with him. We're having a nice conversation, so I'm giving him tips and things like that. And then he starts telling me, he ran the first 50 miles with the, I think she ended, at that point, she was the first place woman.
Right.
And then we're talking a little bit more, and he's like, and I've got a 2-hour, 38-minute marathon, which is...
Okay.
And I'm running along going, what am I doing with you?
But, go ahead.
No, but then he had some problems, so he ended up having to stop for a little while. And I thought, well, okay, I can slow down a little bit now. And so kind of the last 8 miles is where I slowed down a bit.
When you're running at that speed and those times, is it okay to be talking a lot, or should you be saving your energy?
Yes, you should.
You should be. Yeah. Okay, but I know you get bored and you want to make conversation with people. And you have said that that's how you make your friends as well.
Yeah.
So, but you should be saving your energy mostly.
Yeah.
Okay.
A good guideline, like an ultra, when you're training for an ultra, it should be story time. You should be able to talk. This is what our ancestors did. They never went for coffee, right? They would go for a run and find out who's sleeping in whose teepee. Yeah.
And speaking of that, what's your pace like? Like when you're running at those lengths, what sort of pace do you have?
Well, at the beginning of this race, I was, you got to hold it back because, a lot of people win the first 10 miles of these races all the time, and then they just blow up, and that's the end of it. So my pace at the beginning was probably about 9.5 minutes. I was well ahead of what I'd planned, but to break 20 hours, it's got to be 12 minutes or less the entire time. And that can include, depending on the race, I like to take maybe a 10-minute nap as well. So, but that's kind of my pace, about 12-minute mile. But depending on length and things like that, and how much you're walking, where your body's at. But ideally.
All right. Do you know who won the race?
It was a gentleman, and honestly, I couldn't tell you his name right now.
Okay.
No,
have you met him before?
Well, I've probably seen the back of him.
Alrighty, wonderful. Any message that you would like to give to anyone who probably would like to get into this?
Yeah,
sport?
I've found some local ultra runners, so we've been having some fun with that. Again, with their schedules and things like that, we do run a lot at night. But I'm always looking for people to run with. You don't have to run the entire time. I used to line up, 3 or 4 girlfriends on a Sunday morning and, run 5 or 6 miles with each of them. But if anybody has any interest in ultra running, I know there's not many resources on the island. I'm happy to help out. I could talk about this stuff forever. And, I was asked to be on the experts panel at Daytona, which was a huge honor. But, people, just things that are obvious to me now that people don't know.
Right.
So I'm happy to share any knowledge that I have and save some grief any way I can. Chafing, for example, in Cayman, that'll ruin a race.
Right.
And definitely your day.
Yes.
But there's ways to prevent that. So just simple things I'm very happy to help with, or complex things.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you so much for stopping by. You're very welcome.
Grateful.
Stay tuned. We're going to take a short break, but when we get back, we're going to hear from our Cayman National Rugby men's side. Stay tuned.
The Ministry of Culture and Heritage invites all to an evening of delicious food, festive music, and Cayman's most skillful artisans and craftspeople. Cayman Christmas, a celebration of culture and music. Wednesday, 14th December, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. West Bay Heritage Park. Buy your last-minute Christmas gifts, eat some of Cayman's finest cuisine, and listen to the heavenly sound of choirs in the Christmas Choir Competition. Admission is free.
The Business Buzz. Each and every Tuesday and Thursday morning at 7:30 a.m. Brought to you by
Cayman Medical Supplies. Call them at 949-6211. Cayman Insurance Center. Celebrating 45 years in the Cayman Islands. Specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services.
Don't be caught up by the weather again. Stay in the know with Radio Cayman's 7 a.m. weather report every Monday through Friday. Proudly brought to you by the Department of Environment, reminding you to respect the marine parks and fish responsibly. Download the Cayman DOE app today. In order to assist with the development of local farming, the Department of Agriculture would like to remind farmers of the on-farm artificial insemination services available for cattle, goats, and pigs. For more information on the service requirements or schedule an assessment appointment, contact the DOA's Veterinary Services section at 916-2218.
For information that matters to you, the people. Hear from the government, the opposition, independents, and other experts on issues and solutions that affect you.
For the record.
Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, tune into 89.9 and 93.9 FM for Cayman's Straight Talk Morning Show. For the record.
I invite you to join me for the record. You are invited to be a part of this interesting and informative show. Embrace the opportunity to dialogue with your legislators, policymakers, and those charged with policy implementation.
For the record,
Brought to you by
Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors.
Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola.
Let me tell you something. I've been fishing our island since I was a boy, and it's getting harder and harder to get a good catch. Maybe it's because there are so many more people in Cayman than ever before. Maybe it's because of how the climate is changing. I don't know about that, but I do know that I want to be able to keep fishing and teach my children to fish one day as well. So it makes sense to me that we have certain areas and certain times of the year to fish for certain things. It feels unfair not to be allowed to fish where my dad had taught me to fish, but I know that being patient now means we can keep fishing for many more generations. We're all in this together, right?
For more info, download the Cayman DOE app or visit doe.ky.
Alrighty, good evening once again. Welcome back to Sports Extra, and we're in the studio here with our Cayman Islands National Men's 15 side, our rugby national squad. Hi, gentlemen.
Good evening.
I mentioned your names previously, but what I will do is we will just go around the table and introduce yourselves so that the people that are listening can familiarize themselves with who you are. We can start right here on my right.
Good evening, listeners. My name is Conal Keane. I'm the captain of the team, and I played out half for 80 long minutes on Saturday.
And he's sore.
I'm very sore, still very sore.
All right.
Hi, evening, listeners. Yeah, this is Mikey Wilson. Experience Cayman in rep here. Number 13 on the field. Played a good, I'd say, 70 minutes. Strong 70 out there to get the win. Yeah.
Whose mama is a Braca?
My mother, Carlene.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, she is. I am half Braca. Keep that in mind. Half.
Quick shout out.
Quick shout to Mom, Moser.
Shout out to Mom.
Most experienced player in the team.
Yes. Oh yeah. Most experienced, most caps at the moment. Still going. So yeah, it's good to see they carry on.
Okay.
Good evening, listeners. It's Ed Goff, head coach of the national team.
Okay.
100% record.
Mikey?
100%.
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. This is Mike Luxton. I played number 7 on Saturday for 80 very, very sore minutes.
How many tackles did you make, do you think? About 50?
Absolutely not.
No.
Can I add vice captain as well?
Vice captain as well, yeah.
There you
go.
Alrighty. Well, as you may have heard on Radio Cayman Sports, you guys, the national team defeated Mexico, the top team in the region.
That's correct.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing,
Well,
guys. 35 to 14. They're number 3.
35-14.
35-14. Yeah, I was going to say they are 38 in the
world rankings.
World rankings. Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
190 million people. We could keep rolling. This is proper David against Goliath stuff.
I thought it was 140.
Well, I added on an extra 50 million. Yeah, it sounds better. Rolls off the tongue.
Alrighty. So, well, according to published reports, Cayman's win over Mexico on Saturday was not only a strong response to, of course, your 2021 outcome, it was a tremendous achievement when compared to the prior fixture between the teams. What, in your own words, what was that moment like for you guys?
Well, I mean, there was a couple of aberrations. In 2019, a Caymanian team went down to Colombia,
yeah.
and there was a pretty. You might have that scoreline in front of you. There was 100 points put on us, but there was a lot of kind of, I think, difficult circumstances for that group. So that was a bit of a freak result. 12 months ago, we went to Mexico City during COVID.
Right.
So the fact I think we made it over there was a bit of a miracle, but we were comprehensively beaten. So for a Saturday to turn out as it did was, I think, quite extraordinary, but a fantastic. Sometimes life gives you these fantastic surprises, and we'll be dining out in this for a long time after turning them over on Saturday.
All right. So I noticed too when I was in the stadium that you guys have a huge fan following. All right. And you don't ever really know that about rugby until you guys have international tournaments held here. talk to me a little bit about your fan support that you guys received on that night, and how much of a motivation that was for you.
Oh, we're a club and a country.
Yeah.
So we're proud to represent the country, and we're very proud to represent the club. So if you get down on a Saturday morning, 8 o'clock, you'll see a whole host of under sixes all the way up.
Right.
And there's a huge thrill of energy of little lads and girls wanting to play the game. And we're just very grateful they all turned up on Saturday.
With their pots and pans.
With their pots and pans.
Yeah.
Parents, and we got a great support base in terms of sponsors and the support group of the rugby club to put on a show, and we're grateful that Trimborn allowed us to do that. It was 10 minutes in that the roof lifted up a little bit.
Yeah.
Post football.
Yeah.
But we heard it and it was great. It was fantastic, and the boys put on a show.
They sure did.
From minute one, really.
I think there was a bit of a pinch me moment when I think the sun was setting behind the stand and the beers were flowing on, but I'm not quite sure, but there was feet stamping on the stands, and I mean, I'd like to say that I'm 100% focused on the game at that point, but I'd be lying if I said you can't hear it, because you definitely could.
Yeah, my feet was a part of that. I just want you guys to know that.
We heard it. Oh, we heard it.
You heard it? Good stuff. Coach, how long have you been coaching the national team?
Just over 3 months.
Really?
Yeah. No, I helped out last year.
Okay.
I was sort of running the sessions, and then was approached over the summer.
Okay.
And then approached some senior players to put something together. We knew Mexico were going to come, and we needed to put a team together.
This is
grateful.
This is a huge start for you.
Yeah. We're grateful we got there, and the boys will tell me grateful we'd be able to put the right people in the room and on the pitch. Because it takes a lot to people have got lives, people have got jobs, but it's to get the right people in the room on the pitch, and you can achieve what we achieved on Saturday.
Yeah,
they were just awesome. You couldn't have asked for anything, a better performance, both collectively or just on the pitch, off the pitch. It was all for one
Most
team.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely. I know Mexico is known to be physical, fast, and very aggressive, based, of course, on past observation. What was different about them this time around, and what was different about our team this time around? I know you guys have a love-hate relationship. It's like, what, you guys like 6 and 5?
Yeah.
5
I think we're now back on top.
Yeah, I think... I don't know what was different. That we were different this time.
Yeah.
I think Saturday wasn't about Mexico at all.
Yeah.
As in, it was about us, and expectations weren't what transpired, what happened. I mean, that was still a big surprise. No bookies would have given us very good odds on Saturday morning. But my impression, having watched the game back, is that we dictated ourselves.
Yeah.
We talked before the game about you talked about their power and stuff, and there's no kind of pretty way to stop power. It's about putting your bodies on the line, and if you don't do that, they'll run over you and they'll get their tails up. But I thought they looked pretty shell shocked from the start because we tore into them.
Yeah.
And we never took the foot off the gas really. So it's a simple game. It's a simple game when you do that. So yeah, they were not the main show on Saturday. We were the main show, which was great.
I think for me, I think Connell did an amazing speech Thursday night in the captain's run. There's a couple things that I noted was he said we got to have courage, and he like kept saying it, that we need to see the courage. And I think last time we were in Mexico, it was a bit scattered. We came in a bit late. We were a bit divided in terms of the teams arriving, and then we weren't feeling the best. So you can see a lot of people were a bit nervous and stuff in Mexico. This time around, we knew what we were capable of. We knew what happened last time. We didn't want it to happen again, especially at home.
Yeah.
So again, that little bit of a speech, kind of, we looked in each other's eyes, and we knew we had the talent. We knew what we had to do. We prepared especially well for it. Ed got us in the right position to accomplish that. And then the first 10, 15 minutes, we knew that we had it because we saw what we were doing, and we were like, well, we know this is what we came for, and we're doing it. And it was just a happy moment. It honestly was one of the best feelings. Like I've said, I've been there for quite a bit, been in that stadium, but nothing's like that when everything's working out well. When you can see the other team struggling, especially a big team like Mexico after losing to them by that bad, and having them kind of see their faces smile and see our faces down, and then it kind of just goes the other way. You know, it's just again, like it's just one of those feelings you can't take back. But it's the reason why we play rugby. It's the reason why we play sport. It's for those moments.
I think we had a proper training window and a proper period to prepare for this game this year as well.
Right.
I was part of the fixture December last year in Mexico City, and like Connell said, it was throughout the whole COVID period where we were going, then we weren't going, and the borders were closed, then we could go, we were going to charter a flight, then we weren't, and then it was, like Connell said, it was an absolute miracle that we actually got to Mexico City in the first place, albeit we were there for a flyby. I think we were in Mexico for actually 30 hours trying to get that fixture done and dusted as well, which was massively difficult. And then this year, I think we had something like 12 weeks or so to prepare, a warm-up fixture away in Dallas a couple of weeks ago as well, to sort of, I guess, dot the I's and cross the T's before we sort of led into Saturday. So I think the mindset was completely different. I think I remember when we actually spoke, it might have been earlier this year, it might have been actually after the game last year in December when Connell said, and I always remember when you said it, there's going to be a different beast next time, that they're not going to be able to kind of predict what we're going to come with. And I think that on Saturday we kind of showed that. I think we went 23 points up at one point in the first half, and I think they were just completely caught off guard.
I think it makes a big difference with all the hassle we went through last year. The home advantage is to be able to sleep in your own bed on Friday evening.
Right.
You know, tip around, have a coffee around Camana Bay. I was walking around with my daughter, and it just felt relaxed. It felt sensible. They were, you know, on different flights. They went through all the rigmarole that we went through last year.
Right.
And I actually said it before. I think I said it on Thursday as well. I said, like, you have to kind of cash your chips in and take that extra 10-15% advantage, because it is a huge advantage. Like, you could see how unsettled they were, how uncomfortable they were in those surroundings, and you got to hammer that home.
How uncomfortable you all made them. What I saw was a team effort, and as a captain, a former captain myself, it's very stressful when you go into a game and you're the only one with confidence. Right? This time, you can actually see it, that every single one of you had that confidence and was ready to beat them. You were ready to go, ready to rumble on the field, and that was good. That was really good to see you guys out there working. Coach, you have anything that you would like to add to your boys' performance on Saturday?
Oh, it was just immense. From literally that first kickoff, they made a big error, and we capitalised on it, and we kept capitalising on it. We didn't really let them breathe. And whereas the boys said, on last December, it felt like they had us by the scruff of the neck, and they were sort of looking us in the face and going, you know, almost laughing at, not laughing, you know, laughing at us, going,
there was,
have you got anything else? But
this was the last game?
This was December.
Okay.
And then
kind of cocky.
Bit cocky, and then and I know that's been in the forefront of lots of the lads' minds and our minds, and from that scrum in the middle of the pitch that led us just to squeeze, and we squeezed them into submission. It was just epic, and we just kept going and going and going, and the back row particularly. So Mike is part of the back row, and just went at them. And you've got a nice clip of Connell passing to Mikey on a raggy and getting through 3 or 4 yards, and they were backpedaling, and you saw a lot of them just backpedaling.
Yes.
And we just need to keep our foot on the pedal. And I said at half time, it's just keep up the relentlessness and just keep going and going. And by 60, they were done and dusted.
In most sport, in some sports, you know, there's a particular player that you're going after, and as a coach, you see that. You know what they're about to do, and you have a game plan going into that game. What was your plan going into the game against Mexico? And who was that player or players that you were targeting?
Well, we spoke very early on, 12 weeks ago, about their 6 and 7. So being able to firstly execute. So we talk about exceptional basics. So doing your individual jobs to an exceptional standard. So if we can do our line-outs, if we can do the moves to get to a point where we can break the gain line. And once we've done that and done all the training for it, then we were able, and you can do anything you like on the pitch.
Right.
And so we've got these group of guys, 23 lads, who I trust, the team trusts, the coaches trust. And if you've got that in a team and you're leading, as the boys are saying about Thursday night, and you look around the room, look around the team, you've got 23 lads who trust each other.
Right.
There's nothing really Mexico weren't going to stop that, particularly as a home match. It just felt right. We'd done the right prep from Tuesday night. I was messaging Connell last night. From Tuesday, it felt this is all about you boys, and it's all about the boys. It's all about these lads. They performed, and they deserve everything they get from the win.
Now that you all have beaten Mexico, what does this do to Cayman's record? Does it interfere with their record, their standings in any way?
So we're at 53
shockwaves across the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Shockwaves.
Apart from the shockwaves.
I think we've moved just above Wales, yeah.
That's the rumours.
So, yeah, we hope to capitalise on this, and we've got hopefully 4 fixtures in the rest of the season. Keep as much of these lads together. Hopefully 2 more games at Troop and Bodden. That's the plan, at least. And build something for... These guys are role models, so build something for the next group to come through. But build a strong connection with the club and the country and get us going. I think it'll make a big impact here.
Do you guys still compete in the big games tournament?
In terms of the previous one, we haven't. They call it big game.
Yeah,
I think it has to be a RAN fixture.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
So this is not a RAN fixture. Is that? I think I'm correct on that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So if it's run by Rugby America's North,
right,
then the rugby club is big game.
Okay.
And there'll be at least 2 of them next year. I believe.
And you guys will be taking part in that?
Yeah. So we should have 2 teams coming to us.
Okay.
Yeah. So based on those rankings, or based on what we finish now, they'll have teams that'll have to compete in that same in terms of RAN, the Rugby America North, and then like Ed said, it's 2 fixtures, and then depending on where the rankings are, where we end up now, and where other teams end up in terms of their positioning, that's how it's going to play out.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
I could have Mexico again
because you guys are teaching me. I'm not familiar with rugby, so I'm.
There was just so because it wasn't RAN fixture, they called it something else.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So what's next for you guys?
Rest.
Yeah.
Yes. Lots of rum and cokes. Rest. Christmas. And not think about rugby for several weeks. Unless people want to talk about how great we are after Saturday. That's the only exception. I don't want to be approached unless it's
Was this the first time you've beaten Mexico at home?
No, we've
beat them at home before.
We played 17, is that correct?
Yeah.
Someone was telling me on Saturday night.
Or 2012.
We beat them twice here, from what I recall. Usually when we go there to Mexico, they beat us, and then when they come here, we beat them. Is usually the divider. But I think this is our 3rd win against them, especially at home. Maybe 4 now, actually. I do recall 2 others, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Coach, how do you go about selecting your national side?
You give everyone a chance at training,
and
I base it on training. So if you put in the time, put in the effort, then you build that trust. It's selections fair, it's transparent for everyone to see. That's how it's fairly straightforward for me.
Who's the veteran in the team you are? You'd say?
Well, age-wise, I am, but he's played as a Brackman. He's played lots more games than me. So,
and
I've been playing since I was 18. So now I'm 32.
Even though you won this game, would you say that was one of the most difficult games you've had, or you've had more challenging games?
In terms of challenging or the difficulty of it, I think we were just pretty very prepared. Like I'm saying, I'm experienced, but a lot of the players have a great deal of experience, if not more, than myself in terms of just rugby in general. And again, like they said, like the players that we had, they were there for a reason. It wasn't just picking random and stuff like that. We trusted each other more than anything. We played in the local league. We played against each other in 7s. We've had over, like I said, 12 weeks of training. We understand what was needed to be done, and in the end, it just like they said, it felt so good. Like even the week before, I didn't come into that game with such confidence, and I haven't felt that much confidence in a long time in terms of Cayman rugby. A lot of it came down to the prep. I know the forwards took a lot of time to get the set pieces right, and they spent extra mornings to do fitness as well as staying late after practice, while the backs we're hanging. What we do usually, just kick it and hang out.
Just
chat in the back. The pretty boys like us, we usually just hang out in the back.
The what boys?
Forwards.
The pretty boys?
Pretty boys, what they call us. No, the forwards. Mike gave me a look because I'm from the Brack. No, Mr. Brack. No. No, but honestly, like I said, like the forwards are putting in the extra effort, and again, when you have that come together, it makes it easy for the rest of the team, especially when the forwards are winning our set pieces or winning theirs, and then winning our scrums, all that sort of stuff. It lines up to where all those little small basics just makes the game that much easier. And when you're making the basics easy, we can have a bit of flair, we can throw the ball around, which allowed us to do it. And again, it showed when we scored some great tries. It showed when Mexico were fumbling the ball, we had the pressure. All those things added up to where Mexico did look sloppy, but they looked sloppy because we applied the pressure. They looked sloppy because we were prepared. We knew what we were trying to go for, put the pressure, put them in their end zone. So in terms of overall challenging, it wasn't because again we prepared ourselves and we were at home. So and there was no rain. Usually around this time, we were usually playing in the rain. So again, we had a nice cool breeze. Like late evening game. There was nothing. Like I said, like it just felt everything was going to be right, and it ended up being just what we predicted.
I see your perspective. Yeah, that's fine. I see you guys defeated them 46-13 in 2012. Yeah, and the biggest win, however, for them, well, that was 105-7.
Yeah, so I was in Colombia.
Yeah, no, right now that was 2019. He's like he wasn't there.
Were you there, Connell?
But none of us were there.
None of us were there. So,
were you guys trying to beat that? To surpass your 2012 score by chance?
I mean, from what I think that was one of the rainy days. Yeah, sure. Like, I mean, it wasn't in the back of our heads. It literally was just game day. We understood. I think the only one that was in our head was how we got beat in Mexico. A lot of the players we saw there. Sure, there were some changes, but a lot of the players I remembered. I remember getting stiff armed pretty bad by one of the. I think it was a 10, but
so 10 of the 15 from last year were playing in the Mexican
team. Those were kind of the ones we remember, and They were there, but they didn't outperform us. We were the ones outperforming them, and everyone was just kind of making sure that whatever position was in front of us, if each person beat the person in front of us, we knew it was all going to go right. So, and that's what happened.
Awesome, Coach. What's next? What's your plan going forward? I know you have the sevens as well. Are you coaching the sevens?
No, I don't coach.
You don't
coach
the sevens.
No, these boys go into a domestic season now, and then early January put out the information for a block that will lead us into April, and that's for me to work out with the rugby club and bring in the next cohort that want to come in and be inspired by these lads. As I said earlier, they're role models now. That there's a pathway from the juniors to the first team, and there'll be a genuine pathway.
And when is the domestic league start?
January 14th, I think I'm right.
There's
a charity shield this weekend, and then January 14th it all kicks off.
So who's the team to beat in the? Are you guys on the same team by any chance?
No, I'm about to get drafted to the Storm. I've got one more team I played on every single team. But
you have. Oh, you're LeBron James.
I'm more. I call it a BRCA outlaw. So the BRCA gets all the benefits of whoever's the highest bidder is what I usually do. The bid's usually low these days, so I gotta add a little supplement.
You're like Kenny Powers now from Eastbound and Down. He went through all the teams for us.
Caroline, if you're hearing, please allow me to go to the Storm. They won't. They won't allow it. I want to play with Connell one more time. So at least on the
Cayman Storm.
So that's the team to beat now.
Right now, it's the Storm. Yeah.
Okay, who plays for them? Any of you? You do?
Soon.
Oh, show off. Okay, all right.
11 trophies in a row. We won't count them up, but. There'll be a change this year, though, as in...
How many have you won in the row? Are you guys...
yeah, a lot, as in... But anyway, we have a good core Group. Mike won't appreciate saying that, but I think there'll be change this year in the club, which will be healthy for the domestic scene as well. There'll be a bit of, I'd say, new blood and new teams winning. So I think that'll encourage more people to play and get the atmosphere back up to what it should be.
How many He asked a question. How many championships?
Have the Storm won?
Yeah.
Well, we've won 11 of the last 11 domestic trophies.
The last 11?
Yeah.
Like straight? 11 straight? Yeah.
So it's probably time for a bit of change.
Yeah. How many of you were on the national team from Storm?
That's a good question. I think
7 or 8. I think
7 or 8. I think the Queensgate Pig Trotters had 7 or 8 as well. I saw their did a few books as well. Joe, Steve-O, yourself. There was a nice spread.
Yeah.
across the teams actually. Yeah, now that you say that, there was, yeah.
Awesome. Alrighty, guys. Before we head out, is there anything that you would like to make mention of that I did not ask you? I didn't get a chance to ask.
No, I just say from my point of view as captain, I'd say that it was an extremely proud day. I know, as you can guess from my accent, I'm not from the Brack, but I'm an Irishman. But
that's true.
I've been here for
You don't say.
I've been here for 5 years, and I really wanted to play last Saturday. I wanted to play in front of a big stand in Truman Bodden, and I was extremely proud to win for the Islands. So I hope people from here are proud of us, because I can tell you there was some very proud players in our squad on Saturday.
Awesome.
And can I just say thank you to everyone who put the event on Saturday. There's a lot of people behind the scenes leading it and driving it, and a lot of sleepless nights, making sure everything worked.
Is he always this soft-spoken?
He's a gent. Anyone who knows from St. Ignatius.
When he gets mad, he's...
No, he doesn't get mad. He doesn't get mad. He's
Run!
Frustratingly calm at all
very
times.
Calm. You are very calm. Very. Anything? You want to say anything?
Nothing in particular. I think if there's anyone, I think that, watch the game, or anyone that's thinking about participating in rugby in the Cayman Islands, I've been fortunate to be here for 5 years now, and the rugby program and the rugby setup they've got in South Sound is fantastic. I think the social circles and the friendships you'll build are second to none.
Right.
And I think that I would encourage anyone that is even thinking about wanting to get involved from a junior, sort of under 8s, under 10s perspective, or even at senior level. I think it's very much not a case of one size fits all. Everyone it's a very inclusive club, and I would encourage anyone to give it a try.
Do you guys, before we go, do you call it goals or touchdowns or
tries?
Tries. And how many tries did each of you?
Luxon got one.
Combined for.
I got one.
Connell, you got one.
Connell, 25. Is that right?
Connell's foot is in the display. His boot is in the display.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah.
It should be. He went 7 for 7.
9 from 9.
Rumor has it he's only missed one kick in his life, and it was during a hurricane. So, that's the rumor.
Like
amazing.
Appreciate it.
And what about you, Barker?
Yeah, no, I didn't get one, but that's okay. I've got a few in the books. I'm sure there's a couple of them in the 10, 12-year span that I've been. But no, it's always an honor to wear the Cayman crest, as well as just seeing new faces coming through. And like I said, this group of guys I've been playing against and playing with for the past couple of years. So it's actually the best feeling to see these guys finally be able to come play for Cayman, and knowing their talent, knowing what they can provide for the country. Rugby is a really tight culture, and in the Cayman culture, rugby is different. It's popular. It's just one of the best feelings when you can have a group or a family that you can rely on, like you put your body on the line for, and know that they're doing the same for you. And then after the game, have a few pints, have a few laughs. That's rugby. That's why we play it. That's why we love it.
I can tell he's your cheerleader. Like that guy that's going to be like, come on, let's go. We can do this. I love it. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. I appreciate you, and congratulations. I, for one, am very proud of you. My husband and I were in the studio, at the Truman Bodden Sports Complex. He's the former director of sports. So he was quite pleased with what he saw, and very proud of how far Cayman rugby has come. And even our women's program is developing as well.
Is it?
Colin Anglin.
Colin. He coached me in basketball.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, great coach, best. Apart.
Him and Coach Food are my coaches that are most respect.
I was just about to say, apart from Daddy, he's the best. Coach Food is my father.
Food, of course. Yeah. We all know.
So, alrighty. Thank you all so much. That'll do it for tonight's edition of Sports Extra. I can have you guys on for an hour. This would be great. Sports Extra is about giving you the latest information on sporting activities here in the Cayman Islands. If you would like the opportunity to be a part of our show, please feel free to email me at sportsextracayman@gmail.com, or you can also check out our Radio Cayman Sports Extra Facebook page to keep abreast of what's happening, or, of course, check out our YouTube channel. All right, I'm DIONNE Anglin. Good night and God bless. Don't forget to like us on Facebook at Radio Cayman Sports Extra.
As a coach, I thoroughly agree. The athlete has just qualified for the World Championship on a big stage in a bar. The guys have been training for the last 5 months now, so spirit and the real high spirit that they could do well.
It was really infectious. I mean, for a 4-day meet with 2 sessions each day, that's pretty exhausting. And these kids were just rocking for the whole weekend. So.
You are listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.